Welcome, everybody, to the 15th episode of Sports Cards Live. Made it to number 15. Pretty happy with that. I think I say that every time, but what can I say? These are going really well. Lots of great feedback still coming through from all the viewers, all the guests. So thanks, everybody who's been involved. I really appreciate that. Want to let everybody know if you're watching on Facebook, go to StreamYard.com/Facebook and click the big blue button so that you can be a part of the show tonight, and we will get your comments on the screen as fast and as accurately as we can with the context of the discussion at that time. I'm going to thank my guest from last Saturday, Brian Price from President's Choice Trading Cards and In the Game. Brian was an awesome guest. We had a 3-hour discussion. It was quite lengthy, but he's told some amazing stories. So please go back, watch that one. You can find it on the YouTube channel, Sports Cards Live. If you haven't yet, please go subscribe and like that video, and others if you wish. I also want to thank Carlos Diego. We had another great chat on last Wednesday. That video is also on the YouTube channel archived and there for you to view. It's about a 2-hour episode. So again, watch it in parts. YouTube will remember where you last left off. So go check that one out as well. This coming Wednesday, my guest is a gentleman by the name of Justin. He's on Instagram as @610sportscards, and he's the guy who invented really the first virtual show, the Instagram show, the virtual sports card event that he had. He's had a couple of them, and those were really cool. So we're gonna have him on. We're gonna talk about everything virtual, what's going on in the hobby right now that way. And then next Saturday, my guest is Steve Grad, the lead authenticator for Beckett Autograph Services. And Steve is also regular on Pawn Stars. He's on Instagram as at the guy from Pawn Stars. So he's been on over 100 episodes. He'll bring some cool insights into various hobby issues and hearing about his escapades through the hobby and so far. So also mention that kind of cool, was on CTV News a couple nights ago, local news here in Calgary that was on national as well. So we may show that clip a little bit later on. And anyway, without any further ado, tonight's guest is Billy Celio. Billy is a product manager at Upper Deck, someone I've known for at least about 6 years. He's a regular at the Expo. They're representing the company and just an all-around great guy. So let's bring him out. Billy, welcome to episode number 15 of Sports Cards Live. Really happy to have you. How are you doing this evening, my friend?
Doing great, Jeremy. 15. You got your learner's permit now. You got one more episode and you can drive, right?
That's right. I'm almost 16 years old. Then we can get behind the wheel for sure. So listen, Billy, first of all, thank you for joining me. It's awesome. I booked you a long time ago, about a month ago already. Been looking forward to this one. A lot of the viewers are hockey collectors, and you're obviously, you work for Upper Deck. Upper Deck has the exclusive license for hockey. You have a big role there. You help design the sets. We're going to get into all that later. But, before we move into that, let's get started with kind of what was your introduction to the hobby that eventually led you on your path through your life to your job at Upper Deck. So, what was it? 84 Donruss, I think you mentioned to me the other day, was the first sort of card set that you remember collecting. So why don't you start us off there with you're collecting 84 Donruss right up until getting your job at Upper Deck?
Just like everybody else, when I was a kid, you go to the shops. Me and my buddies, we would ride our bicycles to the shops. And like I said, I remember those 84 Donruss cards. And I joked with you. I'm like, back then I would use them to put into my bicycle spokes. And I know you hear the story all the time, but it was true. It makes a real cool clicking sound. So, I kind of dibble-dabbled in the cards there. Then my dad kind of noticed, hey, he's interested in cards. And my dad was interested in cards when he was a kid too. So it was something that we kind of did, kind of nice little bonding thing between me and my dad growing up was cards. As time progressed, I went real hard. I think the first year I went hard was like 87, that 87 top set baseball with the wood borders. Man, I had so many of those. I think I sorted them every single way you can, multiple times, by number, by team, by player. I was playing with them all the time, and we kept doing stuff. And as my collection got bigger and bigger, my dad and I would start doing shows. We would have table at shows, and it was kind of funny. He'd have the old stuff, and I'd have the new stuff. And we did that. We used to do. John Smoltz had a show. He's from Lansing, and he would do a card show every year, and we would all year long, we would buy all the John Smoltz cards we could find for like 5 cents to 25 cents. And then once the show hit, we would put like $2 or $3 on each one, where everyone else is trying to sell them for $5 or $10 because, you know, he's signing for real cheap. And actually, I think I even I brought one of my old oh shoot, oh, there it is. I brought my old John Smoltz rookie card that I got signed back in the day
from
so
89, 89 Upper Deck, the first set.
Yes.
Cool.
So, you know, we started doing that. It was a great bonding thing with me and my dad. You know, I was a little troublemaker back in school, so this was something that he didn't yell at me, and it was kind of fun because it was right around when Beckett's were coming out. So what we would do was, whatever sport became, like, there'd be a Beckett. They used to have like that huge Bible, a price guide. I don't know if you remember. It came out like once a year. So
yeah, the annual.
Those prices were really low. So we would go to shop after shop and just buy a whole bunch of old cards, like just buy the lots. And then the Beckett's would come out, and the Beckett prices were higher than the annual. So, you know, we kind of started doing that. And we started with baseball, then we did basketball, and then football. And then, you know, I still remember the Wayne Gretzky Beckett with hockey on it. So there goes my phone. Sorry about that. So, you know, that's that part of collecting. And then as I got older, you know, high school came along and college, and I kind of took like my later years in high school. I think there was a big boom in comic books, so I kind of like moved over to comic books a little bit, and then college came along, and I moved on to a whole bunch of other things. And then once I got out of college, I was just like, okay. And there's a couple local card shops I would go to in the Lansing, Michigan area, and just got back into it, and I, you know, been collecting ever since.
So
yeah.
So I mean, you know, you're just like any of us, really. You started with a family member, your father. I mean, I started with my cousins, I remember, and you know, you start one way and something gets you through till, you know, you get through till you're basically in high school. We all kind of take a bit of a break because, I mean, other things take priority, although I don't think I took much of a break. And okay, so that takes you up until you get out of college. And next thing you know, or next thing I know, Billy's working at Upper Deck. Tell us, how did you actually get your job at Upper Deck? I think everybody I think we all have had that dream at some point of our life where, boy, how cool would it work for a card company, especially Upper Deck? You know, if you're a hockey guy, even back in the day, if you're a fan of any sport, I think everybody wanted to work at Upper Deck at one point. How did you actually get that job?
You know, when I when I came back from college, a lot of my work experience after that was in restaurants, to the point where by the time I left Michigan, I was actually managing restaurants. And a friend of mine is actually friends with our president, Jason Mashra. And so I would, like, when I moved to California, I would be talking to him and be like, hey, you know, what's up? And we met a few times, and we would just you know, talk sports cards. It was fun. And so one day out of the blue, I get a phone call, and it's just like, hey, what's your status right now? And I go, well, honestly, like, I'm getting tired of this. My knees suck, and I don't want to be walking around hard floors and worrying about ticket times and all that stuff for people to get food. So I just, and he's just like, well, let me tell you something. Like, I don't know if you know the current situation right now, but Richard had passed away, president or the owner of Upper Deck, and Jason had become president. He goes, look, I let my people hire who they want, but you know, if it's something that you might be interested in, get me your resume, and I can see if like the people that are hiring are interested. And they were looking for a product manager, which is the position I have, and they're looking for a coordinator who's the person that makes the checklists and stuff. And so I interviewed for both positions. I think I had 2 phone interviews to start with, and then I had a meeting where they drove me to, I drove to Carlsbad and had a sit-down interview. I think I had 1 or 2 of those. And I think I told you a story. It's funny. When they asked me like what my favorite card is, it wasn't an Upper Deck card. And then when they asked me what my least favorite card was, it was an Upper Deck card. But you know, I was honest. But one of the things that they're looking for in the product manager position is there's two things. You got to have card knowledge. You have to have knowledge of cards, the history of cards, prices of cards, the what sells, what doesn't, sets and stuff like that. And then you also kind of, with my position, it's a lot of numbers. And so math was actually one of my really good subjects in school. We won't talk about science, but math was really good. And so what I do with cards is, instead of, and the restaurant business really helped because I would have to worry about liquor costs, food costs, labor costs, maintenance costs, all those little things. And then you have to learn how to manipulate those numbers, move those numbers around to get the numbers that you're looking for. And it's the same thing with building a set of cards. You have to worry about, paper costs, decafoil costs, auto costs, memorabilia costs, all those sort of things. So that was another skill that I had. And it's kind of rare to have someone that's really knowledgeable in those numbers and being able to work with numbers, and also knowledgeable in the trading card market. And so, there's some guys that know 10 times more than I do about trading cards and hockey cards and sports cards, but they couldn't equalize an equation if their life depended on it. And then there's other people that know 10 times more than math than I do, but have no idea what a rookie card is. So, it was a nice combination of skills I had. And, I went through the interview process. As I said, it was about 4 or 5 interviews. And here I am. I kind of laugh because I was the cheap hire. They only had to drive me from Los Angeles to Oceanside. Our other product managers, JT and Tony, they had to fly in from New York and fly into Chicago. So it's like, you guys got like your own little vacation, where I had to just drive up one day and then drive back the next day.
Right on. So, okay. So awesome, man. I mean, that's super informative. I think a lot of people are going to appreciate hearing all that, even as just as an intro to the episode here. So you've been with Upper Deck now for 6 years since those interviews, that series of interviews. And can you tell us, what was your introduction to the hobby when you were first at Upper Deck? Like, what was your first experience coming in front of collectors at the Expo in Toronto? How was that for you?
It was interesting. Being from Michigan, hockey town, Detroit, I always sporting the D somewhere. I do enjoy hockey. I thought that Detroit fans were huge fans, and they are. But let me tell you, it's a whole nother breed when you go to Toronto and you go to that expo and you see all the fans of hockey cards. I've done, as I said, I've done tons of card shows, and to see the majority of the whole expo to be hockey was something completely new to me. And it's funny, like my first time, they're like, well, we should take you, you should check it out, see how everything is. And I'm like, all right. So that was when Grant was going also, and he kind of introduced me to a lot of the people in the industry.
Tell the viewers who Grant is.
Also, Grant's my boss. Grant oversees all of the product managers and the coordinators for hockey for Upper Deck. He is our Zen master. He's his office is the dojo. He's got a little gong in there and everything. It's great. But no, Grant's probably one of the smartest guys you will ever meet. I was fortunate enough when I first started working at Upper Deck. Sometimes they throw you into the fire and say, here you go, try to build something. I spent about 6 months just sitting on a chair like I am right here next to Grant, learning how he builds a set, learning the reasons why he does inserts a certain way, learning how he numbers stuff a certain way, doesn't number stuff a certain way. So, I had some great teaching, and I was fortunate enough for a good 6 months before I even touched a product to watch him build almost half a calendar's worth of cards. And so then as I said, we went to the expo. I joke, I think I spent more time answering questions about pink sleeve on McKinnon Young Guns than I did actually, getting to talk to people. That was the big craze. I heard you guys are replacing the pink sleeves. I felt bad for our customer service guy that trip because I think we ran out of McKinnon, our backups for him to hand out to people because obviously it was a big deal. It's obviously the big rookie. He's still a stud. So I understand, people are very particular, and when things don't get graded a certain way, they get a little upset. So
when you guys came to the Expo that particular year, that must have been the fall of 2014.
It was spring.
No, 2020 would have been, sorry, spring. Oh, well, no, he would have been a Series 1. Yeah. Oh, when you were replacing them would have been spring. That's right.
Yeah.
Right. So you guys actually were aware that there was that print flaw, and you guys came to the Expo with a stack of corrected ones to basically swap out for people that gave you a pink sleeve. You'd give them the new improved copy. Is that how that worked?
Exactly. Yeah.
Very, very cool. Very cool. Was that a kind of a tough situation for you as someone new with the company, and here you are kind of having to deal with unruly customers type of thing, or dissatisfied customers?
I've had a few jobs. I mean, working in the restaurant, it's one of those things where you have a table that has a complaint, and then all of a sudden all the other tables around that table have a complaint because they saw what you did for one person. It's almost the exact same situation. Someone heard, you have this complaint, and you learn to deal with it. Another job that I had, which was horrible, but I went door to door for about 8 months, selling coupon books, and you learn how to get yelled at and take no's and all that other stuff real quick. So it wasn't that bad. And as I said, the customer service was really who they dealt with. So it was like, hey, real sorry about that. Here's our so-and-so. I think it was Randy. Here's Randy. He'll help you guys out.
Right on. Okay. So listen, before we move on and get into the detail about how you actually build the set, we've chatted many times, and whenever I ask you about it, you always mention the word forms, and I think it's an interesting term because you guys talk about it like it's second nature. I don't necessarily think all the viewers and collectors out there really know what a form is and how that works in the context of building out a set. But before we get to that, we're just going to go through some of the comments that we have so far from people. Jason's in the house. Good evening, Jason. Hello, Scott. Welcome. Amit, Big Sexy. What's up, Billy? Welcome, Amit. George Buss in the house. Hello, George, and welcome. Andy says hello. Eli says good evening. Hi, Eli. Nice to see you as always. There's an anonymous Facebook user who starts off with, when Upper Deck sends a stack of cards to an athlete, whoever that is, please go to StreamYard.com/Facebook. Click the big blue button and feel free to ask that question again. It's too long in the form it is. It'll cut off our chins. So please re-enter that one. Same for you, Andy. That question's too long, but we will be talking about that topic a little bit later. Super Striker in the house. Woo woo. Happy to see you here. And he says, what are your thoughts on 86 tops? Because I think you were saying you were into the 87 tops. That's what he's sorting right now. Hilarious. Randy's a great guy for sure. Stefan in the house, my guest from a couple Wednesdays ago. Welcome to the show, buddy. And Adam Erskine. Good evening. Billy Monumentals in the house. Yes, that I can vouch for sure. This guy has a few Monumentals. That is an understatement. All right. So welcome everyone to the show. Billy, happy to have you as always. As always. Just happy to have you, man. Happy to have you here. So let's get into building sets and what a form is really and what goes through your mind when you're building a set. And what are the details that us collectors, us customers, that we don't really know about that goes on behind the scenes when it comes to creating a new set or even continuing on with one that's been around for a few years?
Well, that's exactly the point. When you're starting to build a set, are you building a new set, a completely new set? We've got some new stuff coming out this year. We've got some new stuff coming out next year, and that's one thing. And then you've got, are we building a set that is, a staple to Upper Deck? Are we building Series 1, Series 2, the Cup? Those are so it really kind of depends on what you're building, on what your starting point is. But say something like Upper Deck Series 1. Well, you got to have the young guns in there. So we want to talk about forms. So cards are put onto a form where that's what's cut. And forms are different sizes. There's an 18 up form. When we say 18 up, that means there's 18 cards on the form. There's a 30 up, there's a 42, there's a 90, and there's 100. So, you know, that's kind of like your base set is going to be 100 cards. And, you know, Upper Deck Series 1 is 2 forms of 100 cards. And then something like the Young Guns. Well, the Young Guns are 50 cards. We don't have a 50 up form. So what we'll do is we'll print the Young Guns twice on one form. And so that's how that goes through the system, is you'll have, you know, 2 separate runs of the Young Guns on one form. And you want to
really, sorry. Yeah. So is a form basically what we would consider to be an uncut sheet, but like
exactly.
But it's the first one that every other one is kind of printed off of?
Yes, it's exactly what it is.
A form is an uncut sheet. Simple as that. Well,
yes, they call it, like our pre-press will call it a form, because they're the ones that set up the form for it to go and put all the printing plates and everything together. So they set the form up to create the sheets in different like spots and stuff like that. So
okay,
sorry, that's the best way of describing that.
Okay, cool.
So, you know, and then like part of the job is to try to be as efficient as you can with these forms, because what some people don't understand is there's 2 different ways to cut the forms. So you have a full sheet of cards, and something like the base set, we have what's called the slipstream and a guillotine cut. The slipstream is something where it's just like all the cards are cut and it's put into the thing as is. And a guillotine cut is where it will slice it down, and then you have every single one of those cards, like say it's Connor McDavid, all the Connor McDavid cards are here, all the, you know, Nathan McKinnon cards are here, all the, and so on and so on. So it separates every single card on the form. So if you have like a memorabilia card, you want all the, you know, Connor McDavid memorabilia cards to be together. So then when you ship them out to put the memorabilia pieces in there, you know, it's easier for them. Or if you have to number the cards, or if you have to send stuff out to get autographs. Well, here's the thing is it's cheaper, obviously, to have something slipstream cut than it is to have guillotine cut, because there's so many more steps involved in guillotine cutting a sheet of cards. So, you know, that's some of the stuff that you have to think of when you're building a set, is can I accomplish this by having it slipstream cut and it'll save me money? And that's where you get a lot of ratioed cards, you know, like ratioed, like the Young Guns and stuff. That's a slipstream form, because we try to get it so you get, you know, random cards throughout the box.
Okay.
So that's some of the stuff you have to think about also.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So I guess part of this whole talk about the forms, and you mentioned like the 12 up, the 40 up, the 90 up, all that, so all those are fun. So that's how big the sheet really is. There's either 12 cards on it, or 40, 50, or 42, 50, 90, whatever that number is. And then I guess when you're actually kind of, you know, engineering a set, you need to make sure that you've got all the cards you want in the set are really captured on these various forms. And if you have an extra spot on one of these forms with nothing in there, now you can add another player to the checklist or to the insert set or what have you, if you need to. I mean, I'm sure I'm sure the coordinator already kind of has told you or has decided who's going to be on there. But does it ever sort of come up where it's like, hey, we forgot we've got this corner space for this last player card, we got to put someone on there? Or is it really all taken care of ahead of time?
It's really taken care of ahead of time. We'll have instances where we need to make cards, and you know, we'll try to find spaces somewhere where it might be like we take a player off of another form and put something in that needs to get done. Say a player loses his cards, like to sign, and oh shoot, we need to get so and so's cards in the set, so we'll put it on another form that has similar technologies, like similar colored deco foil, similar thickness to the paper, that sort of thing, and we might put it on that form. But from a standpoint of, you know, are there a lot of open spaces? Usually not. Usually, like as I said, we try to be as efficient as possible. So if I have 100 up form, I'm going to try to fill all those 100 spots, because I want my driver to be as low as possible, and I want as little waste as possible. So, you know, that's one of the parts of the job, the math part that I was talking about. That's kind of important to, you know, make sure you're being as efficient as possible.
Right. And I guess you want to make sure you have all your ratios are going to be filled on the, across the whole brand run, making sure that any numbered cards are going to be properly seated. You have enough of those. That's pretty interesting stuff. So when you started at Upper Deck, what were the first couple of sets that you were actually in charge of making?
The first set I actually built, and no pressure at all, was Connor McDavid's first Upper Deck card. It was Team Canada Juniors. I think, was it 2015 or 16? Why am I drawing? 2015 or 14? Yeah, 14.
I think, yeah.
15, 16 were the first sets I started building. But yeah, his first Team Canada Junior set, that was the first set of cards I ever built. So like I said, no pressure whatsoever. And then that's when I started building some other things, and started and people that know me, that have talked with me, kind of know my history on some of the first sets I built, and it's not the proudest moments of my career, but I think we went out the gate with full force, which I appreciate the fact that you enjoy some of those inserts. But
I do.
That thermal threat card, the Man on Fire card, that was me. Sorry. I thought it was cool. Champs was another one where it did well, but what some people don't understand is there was supposed to be so much more content in that product that the league nixed. We were supposed to have a lot of Canadian memorabilia in there, and that kind of changed the whole product all of a sudden. So Champs, and then Contours. Yep. Connor McDavid's first hard signed card was in Contours. And, one thing that people don't know about Contours too, and just imagine how this could have changed the set altogether. Like, as some people know, I also enjoy collecting celebrity autographs. And I was like, I want to do a fans of the game, but I don't want to do fans of the game where it's like reality stars. I want like good people. And we had a deal. It was all set up with Margot Robbie, and it fell through. And I think the agent got a hold of it. She was all excited about it. The agent found out, and then all of a sudden nixed a few things and took it out. But can you imagine having, because she's a huge hockey fan. She's a huge Rangers fan. And I've talked Rangers with her, and she's very knowledgeable and loves the sport. Man, can you just imagine that set with that autograph in there for all the people that are Harley Quinn fans or whatever. But so those were the first three sets I built, and I'm happy I went through that struggle, I guess you could say. And I can't remember if I've told you this or not, but a switch flipped. We were at I believe like a CDD conference or something, and we were at a table, and I was with a couple other card shops, and for a while the joke was Contours, and I was sitting there talking, and Carvin, one of your guests, was sitting there. He's sitting with us, and we're joking about it, and he's like, I don't know what's so funny. And I'm like, what? And like, I really hadn't talked to Carvin too much. He's just like, these are cards that people spend money on. This is stuff that shops invested money in, and you guys are sitting here joking about it. Like, some people put a lot of money into it, and that was. He doesn't know this. It's probably the first time, if he watches this show, it's gonna be the first time he hears it. But that was a game changer. You really have to not just think of what you want in a set of cards. And as you've seen and heard, that's when I really started getting more involved with talking to a number of shops, talking with collectors. Just last night, I was on 5 different breaks on YouTube, on Breakers, on Facebook, just watching breaks, talking to them, asking people what they're breaking. Are you excited for SPA? That sort of stuff. So, that was, that little moment was when I said, hey, you can't keep making these sort of products for yourself. You got to make products for everybody. And that's the thing, is there's so many people that you really have to make products of. I mean, you have a fan base of collectors that love, a lot of the vintage stuff. You have set collectors. You have PC guys. You have breakers. You have the high-end guys. You have the kids. And I'm not going to make everybody happy with every set, but our job is to create sets for every collector out there. And then there are some sets that you try to make as many people as happy as you can. So that's kind of how I look at building products now. But those first few products, they were tough and they were learning experiences. I am proud of some of the stuff that were in those sets, and I think some of those sets are a little underrated. But I think since then, we've really improved, or at least I've really improved on really getting products out there that people want.
Awesome, man. Okay, cool. You mentioned Carvin, Carvin is Carvin Chung. For anybody listening who was kind of wondering why a guy by the name of Carvin would have been like the switch go off moment for Billy. Carvin was a prior product manager, even brand manager at Upper Deck. I think Billy started well after he left. Carvin then went on to Panini, where he worked for a while. And Carvin's the guy who invented the cup and Exquisite. He then went on to Panini. Now he works for GTS Distribution in the US. And I bet, when you said you were sitting with him and he kind of looked at you like, why are you guys laughing? It's because he's now representing the buyers and he's now seen both sides. So I think it was a really awesome moment that you were there to hear that, and the fact that you not only heard it, but that you took it to heart and that you then acted upon it. I say kudos to you for really respecting his experience in the hobby, because he certainly is a respected guy in the hobby, and a ton of experience. That's for sure. So
and he's done nothing but offer help. He's always said, hey, I've got his phone number in my phone. He's like, if I ever need to call him, he talks with us every now and then too. So he's still very important to the hobby, from a standpoint of just giving feedback and giving out knowledge. I mean, the episode that you had him on here was great. You learned a lot of stuff. I mean, people look from the earlier days at Upper Deck and Panini and everywhere else he's gone. You can learn a lot of stuff just listening to him talk.
Right. And I mean, his perspective is one, he's seen both sides, right? He's worked for the company Upper Deck, but he's also worked for Panini. He's worked for the two of the biggest ones. And now he works more on the retail side, as a distributor. So certainly someone that I would encourage you to continue to lean on, and hopefully he's going to continue to share his valuable experience with you. I think it's awesome for us to know as collectors that you can lean on that. I want to just step back a few minutes. We were talking about, your job as a product manager. You mentioned the coordinators, and you said that the coordinators are the people who actually build the checklist. Can you, I know it's not what you do at Upper Deck, but can you let us know, how do these coordinators go about building these checklists? How do they decide what players to put in each set?
It's a very difficult position, because you're building checklists, and guys like me, of course, want to have the best checklist there is. But you're dealing with stuff like for some sets, and maybe we can talk about this a little bit later, but whether or not you can have retired players in the set. So if you can't have any retired players, okay, there's that. And then a lot of inserts and a lot of base sets and stuff have autograph parallels, have memorabilia parallels, and they have to go in our database and say, oh, okay, I have to hit this certain number of autograph cards and jersey cards in a set. Do I have in my checklist enough memorabilia from the players that I've selected, or enough autographs on the autograph deals? Because we don't get unlimited autographs for these guys. We sign them to a certain number, and we're limited to that certain number. So they have to coordinate that too, amongst however many we build. 15 to 25 different sets. They have to coordinate all this autograph and all this memorabilia throughout all these sets. So not only that, but then they've got to know, we've got CHL Game Use coming out in a month or so. And, these guys got to know who the third line defenseman is on the Erie Otters or whatever. I can't tell you who that is, but these guys are constantly checking out box scores, checking out rosters, checking out, the magazines come out with the top prospects, and they're reading all of them. And I'll tell you who else does that is Grant. Grant is is huge on having the knowledge of who these people are. So like he'll review some of the checklists just to make sure like the top guys that he wants are in there also. But you know, that's part of the job, and for those guys, and it's tough, and you're literally just trying to like make everything, and then you have like a sig rate that you have to work with. So you're only allowed like this much spending in autographs. So not every autograph can be Sidney Crosby because he costs this much, whereas some else might be lower. So you know they have to balance that when it comes to building a checklist for a set. So, and we give them direction. We'll say like, hey, this many rookies or this many veterans or this and that, but for the most part, they have to come up with the names.
All right, man. That's really interesting stuff. Thanks for sharing that. So before we move on, I want to talk about some of the more innovative things that you've been doing at Upper Deck, because, you know, I read a lot of online content and I read a lot of complaints, a lot of criticisms of your employer, Upper Deck. And I do think sometimes a lot of it is unfair. But that's just my personal opinion. I'm only speaking for myself there. Before we do that, we're going to go through a few more comments and questions that are coming up. We'll address the ones we can. Then we'll talk about some of the innovative stuff. I also want to talk. We're also going to get into some of the more challenging topics too a little bit later. And one of the things that we're going to talk about are exclusives and how Upper Deck goes about identifying these generational talents that you guys like to have signed to exclusives. I know we've had the owner of what? we had the same discussion with one of your competitors a couple of weeks ago. So I'm curious to hear your side. But picking up from where we left off before, Barry, hello, Barry, good evening. He wants to be wowed tonight. He's admittedly jaded. He can be critical of Upper Deck on message boards and that. But he says also Greenberg or K-Line.
I met K-Line. He is one of the nicest human beings in the world. Total gentleman, total class act. When I went to baseball card shows and he was signing, couldn't have been nicer. Was very personable. I never got to meet Greenberg. Heck of a player. Don't get me wrong, but I have a personal story with K-Line, so hands down, K-Line.
Okay, cool. Andy has a question. Andy says, how many cards are in 1819 O-Pee-Chee Hockey Retro scratch off set, and what was the print run? So before you get into that, Billy, because we talked at length over the last couple of days about print runs and when they are announced, i.e. serially numbered, and when they're not announced. We're going to get into that actually a little bit later when we talk about the sort of the challenging stuff. So Andy, we will just put that on the back burner until then. Tim says, the Cup, the show, best subset ever. How is it made, and will you keep it going? Can you address that, Billy?
You know, that the show, that's one of those conversations with Grant and sitting there, and our UDA is unbelievable. They make some gorgeous pieces. And we're sitting there, and you know, we have UDA pieces all over our office. And Grant, I think that one was, I got to give credit to Grant on that one. He's just like, let's make this into a card. Like, these are so beautiful. And what's funny is, like, we tried to, because they write on the show, the big UDA pieces, they write with the chalk, like more like an oil pen or something weird. And so we tried it, and it wasn't work. We're like, let's just use a pen. Like, we can't replicate that exactly, but yeah, that's a Grant one. I can't take credit, but yeah, I think they're gorgeous cards.
And do you is that a set that's going to be continued in future years of the Cup, as far as you know?
Yes and no. You know, initially we started it and it had, like, I mean, there's Michael Jordan show cards in the Cup, like, and then I think we limited it to hockey players and rookies and stuff, but you never know. I unfortunately, the Cup is something where we kind of stay in the hush about. So I'll for something that's not out yet, I will kind of be quiet on the Cup. The Cup is holy ground for us. Sorry.
Right. You guys actually, you know, and it's year after year after year. You guys don't talk about the Cup until you announce it's coming, and that's probably not until May of the year. So it might be a bit a while.
I'm one of the people that packs it out, like hand packs it, and my phone has like 600 photos on it of cards that we're going to then, I think we put it on Hobby Insider, but like some of the pictures and stuff, but like our Facebook page. And it just kills me because they're on my phone for weeks that I can't show anybody. And I'm like, oh, this is a sexy card. But yeah.
Okay, cool, Matt. Hey, you can only talk about what you can talk about. I certainly understand that. The viewers, I'm sure, understand that too. So appreciate that you're on the show at all, and whatever you're gonna tell us, we're all just thankful that you're willing to appear on the show. So thanks again for that. The next question comes from Richard, and it's actually a good question. It's good timing for this question because we were going to talk about sort of athletes and exclusives and all that. But let's just look at the question here. When Upper Deck sends a stack of cards to an athlete to sign, how are they sent? In 2-piece cases, top loaders, 1-touches, or a 400 count box? Which I am myself.
Unfortunately, I'm not part of. I've done one signing in Upper Deck, and it was for. And I was in Vegas for International Fight Week, and it was for Goodwin, and it was Chrissy Blair, and I had all the cards, and she signed them, and I put them all together. But that's all right. Unfortunately, I don't want to answer questions that aren't really my department or that I would incorrectly answer. But they go from where they're printed to either North Carolina or where they're printed to the athlete, and I can't. I'm not even there, so I honestly I don't know the full extent of how they send out cards.
Fair enough. I mean, I work in finance in my company, and I have no idea really what our store managers do every day. I shouldn't have no idea, but I think that's understandable. I think we all have to accept that you can't know, you're there doing your job. You're not doing everybody's job. It's a big company. Everyone's got their thing. So, and I'm sure if you did know, you would help us understand what you are actually sort of in the know about. Super Striker says, do players get penalized in any way if they don't return signed cards on time?
I wish.
Yeah.
I wish.
So the answer is a quick no to that. Simple as that, right?
Is he a Pasternak fan? Is that why he's asking? No. Look, we wait and we wait and we try to get a hold of them, and our customer service does the best to try to keep everybody updated on where we're at with getting stuff back. But we're doing our best to call these people, to talk to the agents, to find stuff out. There's some crazy stories. I'll tell you what. Someone's girlfriend threw away their box because they broke up. Just stuff like that. But do you want us to penalize the player and then they don't show up in our product anymore? No, I keep hearing more and more that you want more people to sign. So, we just do our best to get the cards back. If it's somebody that doesn't send their stuff back like regularly or doesn't sign, maybe we'll think twice about a second deal. But then again, that's happened before, and then all of a sudden they flip a switch, and then all of a sudden they're the best signers in the world. So the answer to that is probably no. I don't think we really penalize them.
No, I can't see you'd penalize them. Then they're just going to take longer next time because they're busy playing hockey. They're not super worried about the sports card hobby. I don't think so. Okay, very fair answer. Scott says loved Full Force, as did I, Billy. The threats was a tough one though. LOL. Yeah, was definitely a funny type of card. But you know what? It kind of reminded me a little bit of the Intimidation Nations from the Fleer products in the 90s, which are very popular because it had that redness to it, that reddy orange kind of fire look to it. So, the more I look at them, the less I don't like them. I wouldn't say I love them, but I think they're still kind of a cool card. But that's just me.
If you saw the original concept of the card, I know you've seen my concept cards before. They're amazing. But if you saw the original, picture, there was an Ovechkin picture that I had, and I said, I want cards to look like this. Yeah. They did their best. I'll just put it that way. I'm
digging through my drawer for I can't find it right now, but you drew on a decoy for me at dinner at Expo last November. You drew for me the Open Ice card. What product was Open Ice in again?
Allure.
allure. You drew for me what they were going to look like on a decoy, and if I can find it, I'll show everybody, because it was, boy, I mean, you've seen some of these sketch cards that athletes have drawn. Might not want to see the one that Billy drew, but I kept it and I said I'm gonna show this on the internet one day. So maybe today will be my chance if I can find it. Okay, Sean has a question for you, Billy. Love the new Easter eggs Upper Deck has released recently, like Pond Hockey from Platinum. Are there any Easter eggs from earlier products that we don't know about? Interesting question.
You guys are good. You get it. And honestly, we don't leave stuff unanswered. I think Tony's the one that had the pond cards in there. I used to do O-Pee-Chee. I can answer that O-Pee-Chee question earlier, but I can't answer the whole question. But it went to Tony about a couple of years ago. I think he's done a great job with it. I'm jealous of some of the variations and stuff that he's thought of to put in there. And the pond hockey thing, that was a great idea also. But we don't let you guys sit too long. I mean, you guys figured out the photo variations on the base sets, and I mean, things pop up eventually. Like we don't get the photo variations on the base set has probably been the hardest thing for people to figure out and find. And people keep saying, can you please just make them look different? And I keep saying, no, because we want you to look through your cards. We want you to actually enjoy your cards and not just flip through them real quick and be done with it. I'm sorry, breakers, but you're going to have to, and we don't give the list out either for a very long time. You guys figure it out. I'll sit there and count how many, like his Hobby Insider, I think you got some guy that like writes down what all the Easter eggs are, and I'll sit and count every single one that he has. But
to kind of you'll do that to sort of reconcile to your master list and see if they've identified them all. Is that kind of why you do that?
100%. I love Easter eggs.
So I mean, from what you just said, is it fair then to say that you do the photo variations really to force people to look at the base cards more closely? Because when you look at when anyone breaks now, it's just boom, 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 looking for that hit. Everything else goes to the side. It doesn't matter what it is. Was that really one of the motivations behind the photo variation concept?
It's one of the motivations. Yes, obviously, it's nice to have a bigger hit that doesn't necessarily require memorabilia or autographs also. So that's one of the reasons. Another reason is we wanted to look at the stuff. Now, 100% the reason we don't tell you which ones they are. We don't change the deco foil or the numbering or anything. 100% of the reason we don't do that and haven't done that for each set is because, yes, we want you to look at your cards. We want you to enjoy the cards. Like I said, that 87 top set, if there was a photo variation, I would have found it because I went through those cards over and over and over again. So it's purposely done.
Okay, hey, that's a great answer. It's one that I would not have thought of. So really happy to learn that. I'm sure that's eye-opening for a lot of people. Here's a question from Andy. Basically, he's asking if hot boxes are intentional. I think he said O-Pee-Chee Hockey has made them. Is a hot box an intentional concept from Upper Deck?
We'll do it in different products. I think we've done it like in CHL sometimes where like you might get 4, like normally you get 1 or 2 autographs and then there'll be boxes that have 4. We've done that in a few products. I can't remember all of them exactly because not many of those products I think I've built. I know in O-Pee-Chee, we purposely do the black border hot boxes. And we do it 2 different ways too. There's one version where it's 1 black card per pack. And there's some very rare version hot boxes where the whole box is all black border numbered out of 100 cards. So yeah, it's purposely done.
Yeah.
Because if you get a box that is crazy with inserts and stuff like that, we either purposely did it or it's a mistake by the people packing it out, because we do a really good job of looping our products to try to make sure that there's equal value throughout the boxes and throughout the cases.
Okay, awesome. We'll go to Adam's question next. So what goes into creating and branding an entirely new product line such as Splendor or Ingrained and expecting/hoping people collect it? Was it always planned to be a 1-year set?
Let's see. I built Splendor, so I can speak to that. I build the cup also. And you sit there and how many times do you see people when you open up a tin of the cup, a lot of times when you get a big hit, like the case hit or whatever, the rest of the cards in the pack are kind of, you might say, not as strong cards. And I was just like, there's people out there that just want that big hit, that are willing, like they're spending this much money to get like 5 or 6 cards when they're really trying to get this one card. Let's try a set where we do that, where we just give them that one card and don't charge them the price of the cup. So that was kind of the concept behind Splendor. Now, the reason why we can't do Splendor year and year again is Gretzky jersey, like, for as much as you're paying, I think you'd expect a Gretzky in there. I think you'd expect Lemieux and those type of players, and with memorabilia. And the Gretzky jerseys aren't on the market every day, and when they are, they're quite expensive. So we don't want to burn through a Gretzky jersey that we paid top dollar for just in one set. We want that jersey to be able to be used throughout many products. So Splendor's something that potentially could come back. I remember when we did buybacks, we all said we're never doing this again because it was very tedious. We had to checklist every single card in there, and I don't know. It's not like, oh, checklist cards 1 through. No, checklist every single card that we get, and we got a mishmash of everything. So, but eventually it did come back, and I can see something like Splendor in the future if the time is right and we're prepared to build something like that it could come back. But there's different reasons for building new sets. One is, just to kind of test the market. Others is maybe some of our other sets have lived its course.
Sure.
And maybe we want to try something new. Maybe, there's a big craze right now with chrome and chromium stock cards. And I think we were only producing O-Pee-Chee Platinum at the time. So it's just like, let's get another chrome product out there. And then you have to kind of think of stuff. And do you want another O-Pee-Chee Platinum? Do you want it to be exactly the same? No. So we have Allure. That's another product that I built. But we wanted to make sure that it was different than O-Pee-Chee Platinum. And so, I had I was online last night with Mo from West Sports Cards, and he's just like, Billy, I need a bigger checklist. I go, if you get a bigger checklist, you're going to have O-Pee-Chee Platinum again. Like, there's a reason why we make this set different. But there's reasons why we make new sets. We don't just make new sets to make new sets. We either feel there's something missing in the market that we're not doing yet, or there's something else that we can improve on. And I mentioned buybacks. I was sick and tired of. I watch what people understand. I watch breaks all the time. Like, as I said, I'm on Breakers. I'm on YouTube, and I'm sick and tired of watching people break products of our product. Like, not our product. But like repackaged our own products. And it's just
Right.
like, this is kind of annoying. And but we don't want to repackage our own products. Like, oh, here's some, but how can we make this different? How can we make this different than people that are repackaging our own things? Well, we've got one of the best rookie cards in the card business, our Young Guns, and there's no autographed versions of these out in the market at all. So that's where it all kind of started. It's like, let's not let other people make money off of our old cards. Let's do it ourselves and make it even better. Make it top notch. Make it upper deck. And so that's where some of the concepts come from. Is just us, wanting to put out a better product.
Awesome, man. Okay, cool. Super Striker has a question about a new. I'm not going to put this up on the screen. It's just a little long, but in terms of a new product idea, have you ever thought about doing a separate set for each team throughout 1 year? And is that something that you guys could even do from a licensing perspective?
That would be tough. We do box sets similar to like the Stanley Cup box set, and I think we have a rookie box set, and those are, the print runs aren't that high on those. And so if we were to do like specific teams, we do have, I believe there's someone that does sell the O-Pee-Chee team sets, if that's what you're talking about. But if you're talking about something like the Maple Leaf set that we did, that took about 2.5 years just to do, to track down all those guys to we worked quite hard. Our talent acquisition guys, did an amazing job of doing what they did. And, we weren't able to get everybody, unfortunately, but they got some names that haven't signed in years. So to do just a one team kind of set, that'd be tough. Although if I'm still with Upper Deck, a few years from now, I think the Red Wings might be having a 100-year or 100 some sort of anniversary. If we do something like we did with Toronto, I might be interested in doing like that. But teams, just a team only set for every team, it'll just be tough because markets are different. And a lot of it depends on rookies, and a lot of it depends on, does this city like hockey?
Cool. Okay. Talk a little bit, Billy, about the world of exclusives, and you guys, you've had some pretty awesome spokesmen in the past. How does the Upper Deck team, and who on the Upper Deck team, what job, I guess, or what job title is in charge of sort of identifying who the next generational talent is going to be? And how early would you say they go out there and try and sign some of these players like a McDavid or a Crosby or whoever the next guy might be?
We've got people out there. As I said, Grant is a huge resource. Even our president, what a lot of people don't know is just how involved he is with and knowledgeable. Jason used to own a card shop. So for people who don't know, like, there's a reason why we do our best to help card shops throughout this whole collecting process. But we've got people, and I joke, but who have their ear to the ice. They've been searching. They're constantly searching for the next big names, and that's kind of it. We look for generational talent is the best way of putting it. And when we had the opportunity to get Connor McDavid, that guy's a generational talent. I don't think that can be argued. And don't get me wrong, the other rookies in that class are phenomenal. Eichel's a great player. Larkin's a great player. I'm a homer, so I'm going to say that. But there's other rookies in that set in that season that great players. But for someone to be, Connor McDavid's been in the top for points every year. He's the man. And we had people that were able to see that. And that goes through just hockey and other sports. Obviously Wayne Gretzky is the generational. I mean, that's the man. Bobby Orr, greatest defenseman of all time, and that's coming from a Red Wings fan who loves Nicholas Lidstrom. And Patrick Waugh, again, coming from a Detroit guy who probably isn't the biggest Avalanche fan, but
right.
These guys are generational talents, and that's what Upper Deck looks for. And I think it's already been announced, but we've signed Alexis Lafreniere, and that guy is a stud, and he's been a stud for the last number of years. And we're fortunate enough that he saw what Upper Deck could offer when it comes to protecting and protecting his name and his autographs. This whole Jordan phenomenon that's been going on. You talk to anybody that wants to buy a Jordan autograph, and one of the first questions that comes out of their mouths is it UDA. I mean, that's just a statement of how powerful UDA is, and how powerful the Upper Deck name is to somebody's autograph. So yeah. We've done. Serena Williams is another name, like the all-time greatest women's tennis player. Just we look for that talent, and that's what we've done.
Cool. Okay. Here's a question I want to bring up. I think this is a neat one. Peter says, do you ever consider harvesting game used material from aftermarket cards of other companies?
Man, that's a funny question, because you'll sit there and be like, oh, that's a great cut signature. I wonder if we get that cut signature, then we'll have, but someone will find out. You guys are smart people. You guys can, I mean, we've talked about the whole fake patch thing, that you guys can find fake patches, and you guys can find, wait, this jersey doesn't look like it matches this year And Patrick Waugh did not wear this kind of pad during this year of his career that you have pictured him with. It just, no, we've never thought of doing that because our fan base is too smart, and we never want to put ourselves in that situation where we look stupid and like, oh, that came from, you know, whatever. So as long as I've been there, no. The answer is 100% no.
There you go. 100% no. I love it. I love the sureness of that. Okay. Charles has a question here for you, Billy. Just wondering, are there any plans to make a retro upper deck set, almost like O-Pee-Chee retros, but as a whole set with a 70s type vibe? Something you're maybe something like that you're thinking of doing?
Trying to think here. One of the things that we were very fortunate with, and again, like people, we listen to people. We listen to what they say. We listen to what they want. And one of the things that people did say was they're looking for veteran content, retired players. You know, we weren't very strong when we had a lot of the same guys over and over again when it came to veteran content. And we've actually signed a deal with NHL Alumni Association, Alumni Players Association. And that's where Chronology Volume 1 came out. It's fully based from our Alumni Association deal and guys that we have under contract. It's a fully retired set. And we'll probably put out some more sets like that. And whether we theme it or not, you know, there's some things in the works, but we don't have anything going yet. But we're working on some stuff. Let's put it that way.
Okay, there you go. So something might be coming out that that harkens to that kind of idea. Okay, I got to put this comment on the screen because I feel the exact same way as Scott here. Sets without or less memorabilia and autographs would be great. I love the idea of more value in inserts, variations, etc. You know, it reminds me, I was having a chat with somebody on Instagram the other day, and I think I made a comment on his card. Like, I forget what card it was, but it was maybe a Young Gun acetate retro card or something like that. And I said, "Hey, awesome card." And he goes, "Yeah, it would be so much nicer with an autograph." And I thought, no, don't put an autograph on there.
So here's my question.
Gonna make it.
Here's my question is, I get questions like that, and yes, we are doing our best to regulate how much memorabilia, how much autographs. We don't want to flood the market. I can't even imagine right now how many autographs NBA players are signing with all the product that's out there. I mean, it's got to be tens of thousands of autographs just because there's so much stuff and everything is loaded with autographs. We have actually done our best to try to limit the autographs as much as we can. And trust me, we would love more than anything to create cards without autographs and memorabilia that are worth money. That's where the like we were talking, the photo variations. There's a simple way of creating a card that adds value to the box that doesn't have autos or memorabilia. That being said, then I get those people that are like, oh, I don't get a jersey card in every single box of Series 1. We used to get 2 jersey cards in every single box of Series 1. Where are the hits? Like, there are people that, like I said, we have so many different types of collectors out there. There are a lot of people out there that feel, I don't get a hit in a box unless it has memorabilia or an autograph on it. So you have to kind of keep that in the back of your mind also when you're building the sets. But you know, I'd love to, you know, those aren't cheap cards to make. So I'd love to be able to do more of that, but it's just tough.
Yeah, I'd rather see more serially numbered tough date inserts, eye appeal, good aesthetic. Of a third might the moment, so we're going to talk right through it. Okay, so Andy says he opened a black border box. That might be why he was asking if that was intentional or not. Ziggy in the house, good evening. Adam says, great answer. Thank you, Billy. Love Splendor. So very nice, very nice. Super Striker, you guys totally scored a golazo with the new credentials product. Love it very much. It's like contenders from Panini. I don't know if that's what they want to hear, but I'm sure you're happy to get positive feedback on that. Tyler says, and I think you spoke to this maybe before Tyler joined the show, but any plans to include memorabilia in the CHL set in the future?
Yeah, we've got, I think it's the end of July. We've got CHL game used coming out, and
Awesome.
it's a limited run, but
Okay.
it's we get some jerseys, and we're just like, let's use it, and so we wanted to do something cool, and it's got some the stuff that this is a big class. You got Lafreniere, you got Byfield in there, so it's going to be very successful.
Yeah, we just hopefully they actually get to hit the ice and the cards can be made for these guys by sometime in the fall here. Ziggy says, I just joined the show, wondering if Upper Deck will have any new products with LeBron and or Michael Jordan. Now, I know you're a hockey product manager, Billy. Can you speak to that at all?
I can tell you that I believe they'll both be in Goodwin.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. I don't know if I'm
Okay.
supposed to say that.
Okay. So
Goodwin is we do and it was kind of announced years ago. It's just like, we still have our deal with Jordan. Jordan still signs with us. LeBron just signed with us just recently. We are signed again for us recently. We just did a whole bunch of jerseys and memorabilia and stuff, and he signed cards. I think that there were shoe cards last year in Goodwin, and also so like these guys are still with us. They're still signing for us, and but we protect our spokesman as much as we can, and we don't want their autographs to dip to a certain level to where it's just like, man, how is a Michael Jordan autograph selling for a couple $100 or $100 like that? This is the greatest player of all time. Like, his autograph should be up here. And we do a really good job of protecting that. So yeah, they'll be in a set here or there, but you don't see them that often.
Okay, so on that note, and I don't want to like put you in a weird and awkward spot. As I say, I want you to be comfortable throughout this show. But on that note, how do you reconcile the amount of Gretzky autographs that are out there with in terms of protecting the athlete? I'm not saying that there's too many. I'm not saying that they're undervalued, although maybe I am saying that. But I know that hockey's your main license, and Gretzky is the #1 player of all time. How do you guys sort of balance that out when it comes to Wayne Gretzky?
I don't necessarily know if I'm the one to answer that, because we have people that dictate what checklist they go, how often he's used, and I'm not necessarily the person that dictates that. I can say that we have definitely cut back on the use of guys like Gretzky in the past few years, and retired guys, because there's Gretzky shouldn't. I don't, no disrespect to a set like MVP or something like that, but Gretzky shouldn't have an autograph in MVP. Gretzky is a top guy. He should go in our top sets. Now, do we use him in our top sets? Yes, we do. But we're trying to limit him in sets that don't necessarily need to have Wayne in there, or that we want Wayne in there. We want him to really be in sets that are more pristine and in the hobby. So we have cut back. I understand what you're saying. For a while there, it seemed like Gretzky was in everything, and I can tell you that we have definitely cut back in his usage. Is he still out there? Yes. And one thing that hurts too is Wayne Gretzky is one of the nicest guys in the world, and I have so many friends that get autographs from him at golf tournaments, at just meeting him at restaurant, whatever. And he always signs for him. I think there's a story about him, about how he didn't get a signature, and he said that he would always sign for people. So, that's tough too when it comes to Wayne Gretzky's autograph, protecting that autograph when the guy's so nice. He signs for like people all the time.
Yeah, and I mean,
outside of hockey.
That's a tough question for me to ask, and I get it. I mean, he's your main hockey spokesman. Well, one of the top 3 hockey spokesmen, probably, along with Sid the Kid and Connor McDavid. So I get it, and you obviously there's pressure to put him in products because everybody wants to hit a Gretzky auto in every pack they ever open of Upper Deck Hockey. So I mean, you kind of have to use them to a degree, but at the same time, I like to hear that you guys are trying to limit the amount that gets out there every year. So that's encouraging to know. Eli has a question here. Hope all is well. Curious as to what is held back for Upper Deck's ePack program. So this is kind of getting a little bit ahead because we did have, in the challenging question type of section, we were going to talk about ePack, but I think we may as well just hit it right now with Eli's question.
Just a second, I have a sign here that says, "What would Chris Carlin say?" No, just kidding. What is held back? When we build a set of cards, we have a specific number of cases that are going to each to ePack and to hobby, and those cards are like, and everything is divided evenly. Or divided like according to ratios of what's ePack, what's physical hobby, and we sent all that stuff out to ComC. Check out my cards. So it's not us messing with anything. It's not us sending them more of this card or that card. Everything is evenly distributed. We give out to the people. We don't. It goes from the people that print the cards to ComC, I believe. And they're the ones that kind of, or it probably goes to North Carolina, but they're the ones that have all the cards there. So we don't really hold back anything. Everything is there's the same amount of hits, the same hits that you're going to get in the physical hobby. If it's listed as a hobby insert, there are exclusive inserts to ePack. There are exclusive inserts to hobby. One of the reasons why we did the acetate or the clear cut parallels in UD1 is because we got complaints saying, wait a minute, you're giving ePack this opportunity to stack cards to get the rainbow parallels and the speckled parallels. And we're just like, you know what, you're right. So what we've done is we've created a rare parallel of the base set and of the Young Guns in physical hobby only also. So it kind of evens itself out. And now you've got the Easter egg. I think you guys know now. You've got even the exclusive clear-cut parallels, which are super rare, rarer than anything you're going to find on ePack. So, it's evened out. Like there's a percentage, and that like there's a percentage of ePack, there's a percentage of physical, and whatever that percentage is, that's what goes to ComC, and they take care of it for us.
So if you're making, I guess I want to just sort of re-ask the question a little bit. Let's say Upper Deck Series 1 is an ePack product, or it's also an ePack product as well as hobby and retail. And let's say you guys are producing 1,000 cases altogether. Is there a certain percentage of that?
You gave away the number.
Hey?
You just gave away the number of cases. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right. Add a couple zeros onto that. But I mean, is it kind of like, do you guys kind of say, okay, here's the print run for the here's all the product for this particular brand. Let's just use a nice round number, 1,000 cases. Do you guys then say, okay, 300 are going to ePack and 700 are going to the hobby shops, and forget about retail just for the sake of discussion? Or like, is it allocated at that point?
I get numbers, but before I build it. Because I have to know how many of those silver parallel cards are going to be printed, so we can print enough. So like, we don't want to sit there and people stack cards and then all of a sudden we don't have the cards. So I have to print enough. So we have those numbers before I even start making the product. We know what the ePack numbers and the physical hobby numbers are going to be. So that's already in the head when I'm building the set.
And so can you give us an idea? Does 50% of the production go to ePack and 50 to stores, or is that you can't share that?
I can't share it all.
Fair. No, stop right there, man. Don't have to explain that if you can't talk about it. That's all good. You've mentioned North Carolina a couple times. Can you tell what is in North Carolina that cards go through there?
So Carlsbad has the whole like product manager team, the coordinators, the pre-press, the people that like take care of all the photos and the designs and stuff like that. And then North Carolina, they have we have a team out there because we have a warehouse out there, and that's where all of the memorabilia. If you hear me say GUI, by the way, by accident, that's game used equipment. Sometimes it'll slip out. I'm trying to say memorabilia to remember, but that's where like our memorabilia is stored. That's where the people who cut the memorabilia are. That's they kind of have their hands in with the whole production of the cards. We build the sets, we create the designs and everything in North Carolina, and then the physical production of the cards. A lot of that stuff is done in North Carolina, where they'll mail like the autographs and all that stuff to our warehouse in North Carolina.
Okay, so you basically you just have an operation there with one of the divisions. Okay,
Yep.
cool. Andy has a question. When you make an unnumbered card with a stated print run, do you print more in case you need to replace some?
An unnumbered card, stated. How's it? I'm confused.
Well, you know what? Let's do it this way. Let's say you have a card numbered to 10, so it's actually numbered. He's asking unnumbered. So if you're not sure what he's asking, we can ask him to re-ask the question. We can move on to the next one.
If you're asking if we print extra for replace cards, there's always waste that is built into products. And another thing is we do QA cases, and so like we'll have I always open up a case of cards myself, hopefully before the product comes out, and I kind of check and see if everything is distributed correctly, because if something isn't, I want to know ahead of time so we can already preemptive strike some of the questions and concerns. So we'll have extra cards from QA cases also, but we use most of what we have, but there's some waste built into stuff.
And the waste then can be used as replacement or even as future redemption exchanger cards type of thing?
I don't know what they did. I don't know exactly what they did with it, but sounds like a good idea.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. So speaking about serially numbered cards and print runs, why are there some cards that are put into sets that are short prints, but where Upper Deck won't disclose what the print run is?
It's a matter of perception. If there's no number on it, sometimes it's considered rarer than if you put a 99 on it or something like that. It's a matter of perception sometimes. It's also do you want us to number the young guns? I think that's one of the best arguments that I've heard. That's a ratioed card. I don't know if you necessarily want to number those cards, but it's just there's some cards out there, and this is one of the things that I learned from Grant when it came to building sets, was just kind of like when to number cards and when not to number cards. I know there's people that really like to have numbered cards, and then there's others that don't. And then there's stuff like, what's the difference between nowadays I'd rather ratio some cards than have one insert that's numbered to 199, another insert that's numbered to 299, a parallel. Like, what's really market value, the difference of a card numbered to 199 and to 299? They're quite similar, but if it's ratioed, one is 1 out of 80 and one is 1 out of 120, then you'll see a price difference in those cards. So you just have to know. And do we always correctly ratio the cards we're supposed to ratio, or number the cards we're supposed to number? Not always, but we have a good idea of what should be ratioed and what should be numbered.
Okay, interesting stuff. Tell us about the concept of the case hit and how that sort of evolved over time to satisfy certain customer segments.
Well, we try to make an inner or a case or whatever to value out for people. You don't want to just have like all these big hits in one case and no hits in another case. So we'll what we call loop a product to where we divide stuff into case hits, box hits, stuff like that. And one of the misconceptions is if you have a master case and there's two inners in it, and one inner you get a big hit, there's not going to be a big hit in the other inner. Completely false. I've tried telling this to a million people. Some people actually finally believe me. Some people still are convinced that one inner was the only big hit. We build stuff by the inner. We build stuff by the individual, like 8-box inner. If there's two 8-box inners, you're going to get two potential big hits in there. We want you to get you a card of value in there. And some products we don't loop at all. So not every like set is going to have a case hit, so to speak. You're not going to get like in UD1. Yes, we have cards that come one a case, but that you're not necessarily going to get a Cale Makar exclusive in a case, or a Jack Hughes or Quinn Hughes or whatever. Like those aren't guaranteed one per case. But we try to build stuff by the inner, and if there's only one inner, we try to build it by then. That's the case. But we do our best to even the playing field when it comes to the value that you get back out of a case, I guess is the best way of saying it.
And really, it's a numbers game at some point where if you may we often see people opening a box of cards and they're very unhappy with what they get. On the same token, you also often see people opening a box of cards and they're very happy with what they get. But when you open a box of cards and you don't get what you think is kind of what you deserve or what you were expecting, and you're disappointed, it's really easy to complain about it, or to be disappointed, I should say. But over the course of time, if you open up enough of them, I think you should hit the odds and eventually hit one of those big cards. And that's really why people open cases now, because they want to make sure they get that case hit, right?
Yeah, very true.
So Tommy has a question, Billy, unrelated. He basically wants to know, why did you remove foil content from O-Pee-Chee?
I did that actually, because what some people don't understand is photo costs. You want to talk about building a set, and I think you've heard from some of our competitors about why they don't build large sets anymore. Some of that has to do with the cost of photos. And O-Pee-Chee has 600 or some, I don't know what it's at now. I've built sets that were 660 cards. I had sets that were 600, 500. I don't know. Is it 500 or 600 right now? I'm not.
I believe it's 6. Yeah,
still 6. And those photos cost money, and those photos cost money to edit. And and the paper is prices go up on stuff, and so we can't continue to do the exact same thing and give you this big wide selection of content year after year without having to make some sacrifices with the content and keep the price the same. Because I believe O-Pee-Chee is still a very affordable box of cards, and to have as many photos necessary for that set, we had to do something. So we kind of we went the colored border route, at least when I built it. And I think I didn't build this year's, I didn't build the year before, so it was 2 or 3 years ago, and that's when we started doing it. But it has to do with the cost, because another thing, sorry if I'm rambling on, but another thing is the type of paper that you print on. So you go from, it's called C2S, is a regular cardstock. So you go from C2S, you can print on C2S. When you change to rainbow foil, you need all new plates to start printing on rainbow foil from C2S. So not only have we incurred all these photo costs, but now we need all new plates to print onto rainbow foil. And there's a lot more colors involved in rainbow foil too, because you have to hit it with what it's called opaque white, which is what knocks out the shiny foil part of it, so it makes the player pop out. So you need even more colors for that. And all the little, like I said, you have to kind of think of ways to cut costs. And unfortunately with O-Pee-Chee, that was one of the ways. And we felt that bordered different color borders were sufficient enough.
Fair, man. Will O-Pee-Chee signatures make a comeback? He also asks. I didn't know they were gone.
I don't know. That's, we took out signatures in UD1 and UD2 and UD2 for a couple years, and surprised they came back. So it just depends on what we want to do.
Okay. Al has a question, Billy, and I got to tell everyone out there, there's a lot of questions coming through, so we're almost half an hour behind on questions. So the ones that I'm bringing up now, you guys asked quite some time ago, but we're still going to,
sorry.
Yeah, it's okay, man. Lots to say. We're still going to bring them up. So Al wants to know, do you see modern retired players like a Jarome Iginla continuing to be part of the new top end releases? He loved them in Splendor.
Of course, he's a legend. I mean, we're going to do our best to put guys like that in there, and continue to put guys in there. He's Calgary. He's the man. So of course. And Mike Vernon when he played there too. Just kidding.
Awesome. I'm sure that'll make Al very happy. Stefan says, love a lot of what Upper Deck is doing. Please bring back PMGs. Yes, I will echo that. Please bring back PMGs. Love them.
There's no hype around PMGs. I don't know what you're talking about.
There's what?
There's no hype around PMGs right now. I don't know what you're talking about.
No hype at all. No hype at all. When the original Jordan sells for $350,000, no hype. Tim says, would love to see something like SP Legendary cut set for hockey. Anything like that maybe in the works or that you're thinking about on the back burner?
Cuts are difficult. We tried to put, I think we tried to put like 200 cuts into Splendor, and 400 cuts. And I think we ended up with 200. They're tough to get a hold of. So it's one of those things where we kind of build up our inventory, and then we're able to use them. So cuts eventually will come back into certain products, and then we'll probably stop again and then wait for some more. We don't want to just put it's kind of a waste to build a whole form for just 10 cuts, that sort of thing. So we use them when we can use them.
So basically, it's almost as if you want to save up, acquire them over a few years, and then put out a set. And that could be 10 years to acquire as many as you would need.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yep.
Good. And I just want to mention that Stefan says, I second that, Tim. Legendary cuts would be unreal. So at least you've got some customers for that. Stefan also wants to say, he's curious about this. Why is there such a lack of vintage memorabilia? I think it could add so much value to products. And I mean, you can agree with it or speak to it if you want, Billy, or whatever you want to say.
My thing on vintage memorabilia is it's hard to find. We are constantly in all the, we're bidding against auctions. Is where I'm looking for. We're constantly in all these auctions trying to bid stuff, trying to find stuff. I can say that we've, especially with sets like Ingrained, we might have focused a lot on sticks in recent years to fulfill the needs for those sort of things. But vintage jerseys are just tough to come by. Like a lot of the companies that have vintage jerseys, it's because they were already they've already had them. They've had them for years. And so, you just don't see this stuff coming up on the market as much as it used to. Yeah. And the fact that, we get our deals, we get our jerseys, with our deals and stuff. So, we're going to use what we have too. So we don't want to just waste it.
I think you can go back and watch my episode last week. I'm not speaking to you, Billy, but to even the viewers, you want to see where there's a lot of vintage memorabilia. You can watch my episode last week with Dr. Brian Price from President's Choice Trading Cards and In the Game. He has an extensive collection, and he sold his company to Leaf, to Brian Gray and Leaf. And I think a lot of the stuff is there. And I think there's competition for that, not just between the different card companies, but with collectors as well. So,
of course.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Let's see here. What's the next question we're going to bring up? Here's one from Peter. Not to be a Debbie Downer, but how do you decide when to use label autographs from newly deceased players?
From newly deceased players. We've been working on a Gordie Howe. If you're referring to Gordie Howe, we've been working on a deal with him for years. And, we finally worked something out with with his estate. And he had been such a big name with Upper Deck for a number of years. We obviously wanted the opportunity to make Gordie Howe cards again, because what Stefan would be upset if we didn't, right? Is
yeah, that's right.
But and sometimes when you say recently deceased players too, sometimes there were things already going on before they passed away. Obviously they signed for us, and a couple. Lindsay just passed away, and did Kelly pass away too? For the Red Wings, but we've got some of their stuff, so we're very particular. Like, we obviously want to hold on to what we can, but it's what collectors are looking for. We're not doing it because we're like, oh, this is going to be worth so much more money because he just passed away. It's we have inventory, and we want to be able to use it and get the cards out there for what the people want.
Cool. Okay. Any chance you would consider making an insert set of masks?
It's tough. Tough question. You want the short answer or the long answer?
Give us the short one. Give us the short one, then I'll let you know if we want the long one.
I'm doing a filibuster like Price here. I want to go for 3 hours. No. The league is very protective about artwork from masks, and I think this was actually brought up in another show of yours, where they don't want the artists, I think, have something to do with arguing with the league, like, you're using our artwork and stuff and showing off our artwork, and we should get something for this and whatnot. So it's tough. We had an insert in Portfolio that was going to be crazy sick, where we actually hired the artists for the goalie masks of different, like the top artists of goalie masks, and we were going to have them make inserts for us, paintings, drawings, and stuff, and we were going to cut them up, puzzle pieces, have the original art and everything. And to be safe, the league said no, like, we don't want to risk it.
I wonder
complications.
I wonder, Billy, because oftentimes customers, collectors, hobbyists, myself, we always have ideas for things that we'd like to see, and it's so easy to say, oh, Upper Deck should do this, or oh, Upper Deck should do that. But is it that easy? How constrained are you by the licensors, the NHLPA, the NHL, with sort of the ideas that you guys can actually run with? How often are you shut down on ideas that they might shut down on you?
I know I've already mentioned two things that I was just like, oh, they were going to be so cool. But the league works with us. They, within reason, they do their best to work with us on sets. And I think it's Jen. She for the league. She's great, and we're in constant contact. We check with them beforehand. We check with our legal department beforehand. There's a lot of hoops that we go through, but if we have an idea and it's an appropriate idea, they're going to do their best to make it happen. It's just if there's legal things that are in the way, better safe than sorry is the best way to put it.
Sure. Fair enough. Charles says, yeah, we should, this is back to a few minutes ago, but we should be valuing inserts more like really well made, nice action shots of players. I mean, there is a movement towards that now. I'm definitely on that bandwagon of enjoying the rare inserts, the cool acetate and all that. Amit wants to know, will there be any more Canadian Tire sets?
That's up to Canadian Tire. We're ready to build one if they want it, if they want another one. That was a great partnership that we had. I think Grant and myself built the first one, and then Tony built the second one. I think he did a great job, and it was a great partnership. It's just whether it works out for them.
Yeah, and I think that could be dependent on just what's going on in the world right now too, with how open their stores are going to be in the next little bit. Andy wants to know, does Upper Deck own the Parkhurst name, and could they make a full set in the 51-52 Parky size and style?
as far as I know, obviously we make Parker, so we have the name. When it comes to the designs, it's similar. I believe it's similar to like O-Pee-Chee, where we don't own those designs, like for Gretzky's rookie year, like that sort of, like we don't own those designs. Those are owned by those companies, and we have the name. We don't have those designs. No.
Oh, that's interesting. You have the name, but not the. Oh, that's very interesting. Nice to know that. Okay. Appreciate that. Here's a question from Barry Grice. Can you ever do subsets, autos, mem of actors from big hockey movies like Slapshot, Youngblood, et cetera, et cetera? That would be a massive win. Hint, hint.
I love the idea. Yeah, I'm the Hollywood guy. I'm the one that loves that sort of stuff. You know what's funny? And I'll do this real quick. And I'm talking too long, but I love the picture that you posted of me for your thing. And I'm like, where did he get that picture? That's a really good picture of me. I'm like, oh yeah, that's from the picture of me with Camilla Monroe, who is Leonardo DiCaprio's girlfriend, who's also an actress. Yeah, see, there's that headshot. So
yeah, that's it.
I love entertainment, and so I would love to do something like that. It's just a matter of the licensing. The Mighty Ducks had, I think, their 25th. It was the 25th anniversary a few years ago. Man, I was all about that. I wanted to do something, but you got to get the licensing for it, and that costs money. And if you do a little insert set, I don't know if it's going to cover the price of that license.
Fair.
So
Yeah.
I mean, Mighty Ducks is kind of probably going to be an expensive license coming from Disney.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you know, as for that picture of you, I did go on your Instagram and find one that I thought would be appropriate for the thing. I'm just going to throw out, if anyone wants to follow Billy on Instagram, there is his Instagram handle going across the ticker right now. So go check him out on Instagram. But yeah, Billy, that's what I did. I went and found a picture that I thought you looked decent, and I got rid of the rest of you and just made you into a bobblehead.
You made me look good.
Yeah, I thought you looked all right. Thanks. Here's a question from Richard that I know you're not going to answer, but we're going to put it up anyway, because just to see how you respond. How many Connor McDavid Young Guns were produced?
How many Connor McDavid? Which version?
The main the Young Gun.
There was 100 exclusives. There were 10 high gloss, and I think that's about as far as I can go.
Got it. Okay, let's see what Chris says. Where you say a card is limited to 100 but is not serialized, are extras printed for potential replacements? Okay, that's going back quite some time on the show. So that's just how far behind we are on questions here. Do you want to touch this one again, or I think
we'll build waste in the product. We can't build the exact amount of cards that go into a set and expect no damage, expect no jam ups, no anything like that. So we build a percentage of waste, and that's, you know, if something does happen, we'll have some potential. I mean, that's how we had the McKinnon cards. You know, we built a certain amount of waste, because
right.
If something happens, you have to, you're losing money if you don't.
Richie, the Mayor of Canada, Barone, would like to say hello to both you and I. Richie, welcome.
How did he not ask that cut signature question?
The next comment, Billy, is more dead cut. So he got it in there. Gotcha. Here's the next question. This next question is from Costa, and he's asking, and Costa, I appreciate the question because it's one that I had for Billy. So we'll jump into that one right now. I like Platinum and SPA, but why are there so many update cards from other years?
So what we talked about, past product stuff, you know, yeah. We have a certain amount of cards that we need to have to pack out stuff out, and sometimes we don't always get everything in time. Sometimes the players don't return stuff on time. So we're sitting here with these autographs, and you know, we don't want to throw them away. Like, a lot of these are good cards. So, and a lot of these also finished sets. So we, we'll put them in as past product stuff. We've done it in a number of products. A lot of times, if you get one of those past product autographs, it's either a really good autograph, like say Crosby doesn't turn in his stuff on time. You know, you might get an older Crosby. You're probably not going to complain about that. But if it's another guy, if it's a lesser player, a lot of times those cards are extra hits in the set, or we don't consider them. A guy like Crosby obviously will consider a big hit, but we don't necessarily consider some of the other older cards as bigger hits. We'll put them more as the filler kind of hits in there. So, you're still getting good value out of your box, even if you get an older card.
Okay, cool. Here's a question from Richard. Again, I don't know that you'll answer it, but there's a big debate on the print runs on black Future Watch autos. Some people say 5, some say 10. And Billy, I mean, I've been seeing this debate, this question for quite some time now. Can you settle the score on that, or is this something you're just not able to talk about?
Can't talk about it. That's one of those print runs that it's low. It's very low, and we just don't want to. It adds value. That's one of those where it's so rare, it adds value to it if we don't tell you the print run.
Yeah, and it keeps people talking too. So, okay. He also wants to know, did you create the compendium, or sorry, Costa wants to know, did you create Compendium?
I did not. That was our ePack team that built that set.
Okay.
I was not a part of it. Sorry.
Okay, cool. Here's all good, man. You only know what you know. Amit wants to know, is there any appetite to do a massive, costly product like Topps does with Transcendent?
We're always open to ideas. Right now, where you have to try to bring a bunch of people in and you have to have someone come in, it's probably not a good idea. But there's always an opportunity out there for something like that. We would, if we wanted to do something like that, there'd be a lot of research involved before we even would want to execute something like Transcendent. And I'm sure they've been doing it year after year now, so they kind of know what's going on. We've never done it before. And as you know, if we were to do it, we'd want to do it the Upper Deck way, which is, top notch. So
yeah. Okay, cool. Barry has another question here. I don't know what this one. Well, let me just read it out. You guys have a gorgeous Bobby Orr jersey. Why don't you use it? You have his autographs. What does that mean, Billy?
Bobby Orr is not a fan of cutting up memorabilia, and we respect his opinion on that of his memorabilia. We will not touch Bobby Orr memorabilia. That's why you don't see it in there. He is more than happy to sign. He is a great signer for us, but memorabilia wise, he doesn't want us to do it, and we don't. We respect his wishes.
Ton of sense to me. And sorry if there's any lag there, guys. And I mean, if you were to cut up a Bobby Orr jersey, he may never sign for you again. Is that fair to say?
Very accurate. That's
very accurate. Yeah. So I mean, you basically gotta do what you gotta do to nurture that relationship, because he's obviously one of the greatest of all time. So great answer. I mean, just great information, I should say. Thank you for that information. Peter also wants to know, have you ever, or are you considering making a helmet mask game used card? I mean, this is something that's been talked about for years. Can you cut up a helmet and put it into cards?
We'd love to. It's tough, and we have to find someone that can cut it up and give us pieces that can go into a card, and we have to be able to even get the masks. So there's a lot of factors into that. We just started putting skate blades in we did it for the cup a few years ago. So it's just one of those things where there's not a lot of flat areas to a goalie mask either. So it's a difficult cut, and it's something that we would definitely like to do, but as of right now, we're still working on it. Okay,
fair. Andy's question, I think I know the answer, but I'll let you take it. If you own the name and not the design, i.e. Parkhurst, how could you do and I think he was more or less asking some of the other guys in the chat room, but how could you do a 79-80 retro set?
We can't.
No, I think it was done back in 2008-9, I believe, and I think it was never done again. And maybe you guys got your wrist slapped a little bit.
I wasn't there.
That's right. That's another thing I want to mention to everybody watching. Billy's been with Upper Deck since 2014, so he's been there for 6 years. And just in us chatting over the last couple of days, and I mean, well, we've chatted quite a bit over the last 6 years, but even over the last couple of days, you know, you mentioned to me that, like, you know, Upper Deck's been around for a long time. It's been around for 30 years. You've been there for 6. There's things that went on before you got there, and then, you know, there's your tenure there. So I think, you know, and I think we've been really good, and the viewers tonight have been really respectful of the fact that, you know, you haven't been there from 1989 forward, and so you only really can know what you know and what you've seen. And you know, in our discussions, you made it clear to me that, you know, you're actually quite proud of what's going on there. You're proud of the integrity of the people you're working with. You've said you work with great people, and you know, I just think it's important for people to understand that you know, it's easy to blame somebody who might work for a company you have issues with, but when they've only been there for 6 years, and a lot of the issues may have come from before then, I think we got to cut you slack. And thank you for even making yourself available for this discussion tonight. I mean, I do appreciate it. I'm sure the viewers do too. Hope that made sense, guys. I was kind of just talking off the cuff there.
I think I mentioned this to you really quick too, and I won't ramble on about it, but you know, I've been there since basically Jason has been president, and you know, every single year I've been there, the company has grown. You know, we get bigger and bigger, and we've been expanding more and more and more. And you know, you hear stuff about Upper Deck, you hear this and that from people, and you know, a lot of that information that these people get is from guys that talk to people that maybe worked for the company years ago, back in the day, or stuff that they heard from somebody at the expo, and this, and you know, a lot of hearsay, a lot of telephone game sort of stuff. But as I said, the years I've been there have been nothing but amazing. And as I said, I've gotten to see, we had to switch buildings because we were getting so big. You know, so the company is doing quite well right now.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the things that I've seen stated publicly is that Upper Deck has no money. They can't pay their athletes. I mean, and I'm not going to say it's true or false. I don't know, but I mean, is it fair to say that, you know, that's sort of an older thing that, I mean, I don't even want to ask you the question, but in my sort of opinion, go.
I'll answer the question this way. There's going to be some huge news in the next number of months of just stuff that Upper Deck is doing that I'm so excited to be about, that I can't talk about. But you know, just with what we're doing, there's some big things, big names and stuff that Upper Deck's involved with, and that's all I can say. But that in a few months from now, it'll answer a few of those questions.
Yeah, I think, you know, I think the point I was even trying to make sort of was that just because you heard something 10 years ago doesn't mean that it's still true, doesn't mean that it was ever true. And people love to, people in general, I think it's a lot of people have it in their nature to enjoy spreading other people's misfortune. It almost makes you feel better about yourself sometimes. And I think it's unfair a lot of the time, but you know, I don't know. This isn't really a show on morals and how to live your own life. We're supposed to be talking about sports cards, and tonight hockey cards and Upper Deck cards. But certainly goes a long way with me when people are able to think a little bit more critically and not rely on things they may have heard a super long time ago and then put those out on the public domain as well. When you're a lot of the time, you may be talking out of your ass, but you may not be. So, okay. Andy wants to know, how long do you keep the waste cards for? Indefinitely or something other than that?
I no clue. That's in North Carolina. That's where all those cards are. So no idea. I know that I've witnessed a sad tossing of a lot of good cards just because it's done, but I don't know the exact time of that.
Okay. Some other funny comments going on between the Richie must be a Grateful Dead fan wanting dead cuts. Well, he very easily could be. Richie, you might want to speak to that. Oh, you probably do below. I just haven't got there yet. Let's see what Bill says. Bill's always got good thoughts. Bill says Upper Deck introduced their famous hologram to prevent counterfeits. Will Upper Deck take a similar industry lead to discourage patch faking?
I can't really answer that. I know, and we've had this discussion about patch faking. I mentioned to you, I have on my phone pictures of all the 99 Cup rookies from last year, and each year we send those to our marketing department, and they've got them. So if there's ever any questions about those cards, those are big cards. It's just it would cost a lot more money to be able to take pictures of all these cards, to be able to put stickers on these cards, and it would affect the cost of making the cards and the cost of the box, just because we're going to have to incur another cost to creating those sets. I have tried to, I know SP Game Use, like we get those all-star jerseys, and I actually had them add the pictures of the jerseys, so you know exactly what jersey you're getting those cards from. Where we can do it, we're trying, but as for holograms, Topps, kudos to you for being able to handle that, but as of right now, it's I don't know if it's really in our plans.
Okay, cool. Tommy wants to know, will you or have you been planning on making another national team set like the 0405 Upper Deck All World? Now that's 10 years before you came to Upper Deck, so not sure how familiar you are with the set. Are you familiar with that set, Billy?
A little bit, yeah.
Something like that.
When you deal with like worlds and countries and stuff like that, sometimes you have to have rights to even the countries, like Team USA or stuff like that. So some of those sets are difficult, but I'm not sure. It's not in the plan yet. It's not in the plan right now. I'll just answer that.
No problem. Amit just wants to say that, he's sorry he hasn't returned his signed cards back to you yet for future fans of the game inserts. So, but I'm sure he'll get those out to you soon, as long as his girlfriend doesn't throw, oh, what's that there?
What? I got them. Amit, don't worry. I got them. They're right here. Yep.
That is the Amit 85-86 O-Pee-Chee rookie autographed.
Yes, autographed.
Very nice. I think we both have the one of that card. So something strange going on there with at a meat deck.
Yeah.
Andy wants me to not forget to answer his 2018-19 O-Pee-Chee retro scratch card question.
I can answer half of it.
Okay.
Because I think the checklist is out. I believe there's 100 cards that have the scratch off, and I cannot tell you how many there are
of each, but 100 of the checklist is a scratch
off.
off.
The checklist is 100 different players. Yes.
Okay. Very good information. Peter wants to know, why are there no hard signed autograph cards with Sidney Crosby along with other players?
I believe we have a McDavid Crosby card in. We've had some Crosby combos as of late, but some players have restrictions on who they sign with, and but Crosby has become a lot more allowing us to pair him with different players. So I think you'll see more in the future.
Okay. There's a comment here from someone who hasn't clicked the big blue box on StreamYard.com. So whoever was asking, I'm gonna say the question, but whoever this is, if you can go do that, I'll put that up on the bottom right now. So check out the ticker, go there, click on the big blue box, and then we can get you more involved. But his question, Billy, is what's the thought process of producing a non-SPA Future Watch auto of a player, then next year have an auto of him? If you're not understanding it, we're going to move on. Okay, let's just skip it. Do you know who owns the Parkhurst Designs?
That's beyond me.
Okay. And how about, do you know anything about Esa Tikkanen and why any chance to get an autograph deal with Esa Tikkanen? Tommy's been asking about Esa.
That's our TA department. Sorry, I don't.
And what's TA? Is that
talent acquisition? I'm
Talent
sorry.
acquisition. So you just not something that you can
Yeah,
really answer about. Okay, what does Richard say? If a person thinks there's a possibility that a patch piece was swapped by a shady character, can customers call in and confirm the patch?
We would be able to tell what jersey it came from. Like we have a log of exactly what jerseys come from, but where on the jersey and what, I don't necessarily know if we can do that. I just know we have record of what jersey that we have that each patch would have come from.
Okay, so that's something. Richie says, do you want to put the mayor of Canada on for fans of the game, for the Islanders next Islanders fans of the game card? Hey, Richie, you never know. You might get your prayer answered there, right?
I'm waiting for him to do a puck drop so we can have him and UD1 for the puck drop card.
There you go, Richie. Talk to your friends at the Islanders and get out there for a ceremonial puck drop, and we'll finally be able to collect a real card of you. Awesome. Okay, another question from Barry. He wants to know, why doesn't Upper Deck do something like Topps Now with memorabilia autos using hockey sticks, pucks, etc. from significant NHL events as they happen in real time? That would be amazing.
We have our game dated moments, and I think, of course, I think we'd like to expand on that. We've only had game dated moments for a year or two. I don't think Topps Now was really doing memorabilia and autographs until they got Topps Now figured out. And so we're figuring out game dated moments. I think we've done a pretty good job of it. Right now is obviously a weird time to have game dated moments because we're not playing hockey. But it could be something that you see farther down the line. It's not out of the realm of things. But as I said, I think we want to get a handle on game dated moments first, just like Topps had to get a handle on Topps Now before they started doing everything.
Okay. And you know what? Related to that, I mean, someone who consumes a lot of online content for this hobby and is now making it myself as well. I'm really watching what's going on with this Topps Project 2020 concept. Has Upper Deck taken note and seen what's going on with that and the volumes of cards that are being sold by Topps direct to consumer?
What are you talking about? No, just kidding. Yeah, of course. Topps has done an amazing job marketing that program, and it came at, it couldn't have come at a better time. Would this stuff be going for what it's going for now if we didn't have COVID? I don't know. The market was moving up in the first place, so maybe not. When it comes to something like that, if you're talking about the artwork specifically, I think I've already mentioned the fact that we've tried to do artwork with cards, and we have to be very careful when it comes to artwork and the legal aspects of it. Working with the league, is there something that we're thinking about? We have a bunch of different daily packs. Has anything taken off like Topps Now has, or has the 2020 product? No, but there's still some. We've got some Marvel stuff that's quite popular. We have a few other our gaming stuff has done quite well. So we have some stuff, and is it something to look into? Yeah, of course. It worked very well for Topps. But if we do it, we don't want to do it just like Topps did. We want to do something else. So we're always trying to think of ideas of something that we can do, and Topps has shown that there's an avenue to be able to do something like this. So Upper Deck, let's come up with our own ideas.
Awesome. I mean, if nothing else, it can be the seed for a brainstorming session for your team and try and come up with a concept that's as cool, much different, and something that I can't wait to see what it ends up being. Richie goes on to say that he has actually done a puck drop. So now we need photographic evidence of that. We need a license photo of it for Upper Deck to purchase, and then we can finally get our Mayor of Canada cards. So
he's gonna be asking for a lot.
Yeah. Andy, who has been very involved tonight. Always thank you, Andy, for that. Thanks for the interview and answering these questions. So Billy, thank you from Andy for answering the questions. Rich then has a question. Do you ever think of putting a picture of the memorabilia on the back of the card as Fleer used to do?
Like I said, if SP Gaming was really like the only opportunity for us to do that. The problem is like there might be cards that require multiple jerseys. Like we might finish up a jersey in one and then another one. Well, you know, someone's going to look at it and say, wait a minute, this doesn't match the picture of this jersey and stuff. So, you know, that's tough also, just because some cards might require having multiple jerseys in the card.
Okay, very cool. And now I think Peter might have been the anonymous question from earlier. So here's his question. Why is it 1 year there is a non-autoed SPA Future Watch, then next year he has a Future Watch auto example, Jake DeBrusque? Can you?
My guess would be that we make some of these guys we make backups for, and there's still the want for autograph, Future Watch cards. So they might have turned in their stuff late, and then we put them in. It's the past product sort of thing. So with SPA, the problem is you don't want a hole in the checklist. So we make non-autograph backups for them, but then they turn their stuff in. So then let's fill that hole with what the consumer really wants.
Okay, cool. Andy's final question: where can he find a checklist for the scratch-off cards?
It was Form 1 of O-Pee-Chee.
So what's that? The first 90 cards of the set?
Oh, it's all over the place.
Oh, it's mixed.
Really funny, that a joke I only get.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out what you mean by that.
I can look for. I'll look for it. I'll be in the office on Wednesday, and I'll have access. And just remind me, and I can look for it. Put a note in Hobby Insider. For those of you who don't know, also I read Hobby Insider at least twice. Like I go into work, that's one of the first things I check. Is I'm on Hobby Insider to see what Jeremy's talking about, and so then I can put faces to names when I see you at the Hobby Insider dinner. That could be a good thing or a bad thing. No, I'm just kidding. But,
no, that's all good. I don't do as much talking on Hobby Insider as most people do, but as I shouldn't say as most, but as many members do. But nice to know that you're on there reading and trying to keep tabs on the pulse of the hobby. Richard wants to know, does Upper Deck hire Canadians? I would love to move to California.
Our brand manager, Paul, just had a baby. Congratulations, Paul. He's Canadian. We have to hear, and he's a Vancouver fan. So if you wonder why there's Vancouver guys on the boxes nonstop, it's because for some reason they have a really good job of drafting, and so they get like the top rookie every year. And the other reason is Paul does not hesitate to put them on the box, and we bug him all the time. But no, we have Canadians that work for Upper Deck. Yes.
So hilarious. So the message to Richard is get your CV together and shoot it off to Upper Deck. And I just want to speak to the O-Pee-Chee checklist for Andy's benefit again. Even if Andy, you might want to reach out or send Billy a private message on Instagram. You can get a hold of him there as well if you're not active on Hobby Insider. Okay, we're at the 2-hour mark, Billy. So we're going to take a few more comments, and then I'm going to show a video that aired on CTV News last night. I heard
some celebrities in there.
Some celebrities, but really it's about, I just want to really highlight that, this hobby right now is getting some mainstream attention. I happen to be in this video, so it's not me just kind of getting more of myself on the screen. I'm on the screen enough, but I think it's cool to show to anybody who might not live in Canada and did not see that on national news last night. Chris says, Billy, what are your thoughts on the subtle back change variation in sets? Do you like them or think they're too hard for collectors to notice?
I think they're great for sets like O-Pee-Chee. I think they're great for obviously you're not going to do anything like that for the cup, but I think they're fun. It brings back memories for me. I'll put it that way.
And you know what? You know what I like about it, Billy, is that it's one more thing that you have done, that Upper Deck has done, that is innovative and different. And I'm not saying you're the first ones to do it, because I don't know. So I'm not going to say it's innovative, and then someone's going to say, well, Topps did it in 2013 or something like that. I don't know. But to me, it was innovative. I've never seen it before, really. So I like that, you're trying things, mixing it up, testing concepts, seeing if they work, seeing how the hobby responds to them. We were talking about other sort of innovative concepts that Upper Deck has done recently. And I'm going to just kind of list some of them off here because we put this list together. Billy and I did earlier today, and I thought it was pretty interesting. So things like the Frameworks jersey card that I believe was your idea, Billy. You guys did the silver cards in the cup, which are amazing cards. You did the printing plate booklets, which was something that hadn't been done before, as far as I know. You did the ticket booklets, and the autograph ticket booklets were another concept that was new and hadn't been done before. And then you've told me about something called carbon fiber cards. Do you want to tell people what carbon fiber cards are?
Yeah, I mean, you know, like an ingrained, I think we had, they signed on carbon fiber, like the stick material, and they signed the little pieces, like the old signature shots. Well, what JT has done is he's actually made cards completely out of carbon fiber. So
little technical slowdown here, Billy. Let's get you back. Okay. I don't know if you guys can still hear me or if it's just Billy that's frozen on us. So I'm going to move along and I'm going to play that video now for everybody. So can someone make a comment and let me know if you can hear me right now, please? Can someone let me know if you can hear me right now? Yes. Okay. Thank you. Billy is gone. I'm good. Okay. Thanks, guys. So until Billy comes back, I'm going to put on this. Okay. He's totally gone now. Okay. No worries. So look, I'm going to put this on the screen. This was on local news here. I think it was actually maybe Canada wide because you can see it on the CTV national news. But have a look at this, guys. I'll just hit play right now, and we'll make.
There's no doubt businesses everywhere have been hard hit by the pandemic.
But business is booming for one industry. Adriana Jung has more on the rise in sports cards.
Sports cards have experienced a sort of renaissance in recent years and has garnered quite a bit of attention lately.
We have cards that, you know, in the past week have sold for almost $1 million US for a modern era card, which is the new record for a modern era card.
Davis is referring to a baseball card, specifically an autographed Mike Trout rookie card that sold at auction for just over $922,000 US. And in the last 3 months, the industry has exploded.
We can't keep up with demand, especially in the basketball football market.
There's a few reasons for that.
There is the collecting aspect, but there's also an investing aspect to it. Historically, the trading card market seems to weather financial crisis.
Jeremy Lee is a lifelong collector and investor. He also hosts a live show on YouTube discussing the industry, and he says sports cards have become an attractive investment.
But a lot of buyers, collectors / investors, they weren't spending their money on travel and other fancy things because they couldn't. So they had all this money available and they went to sports cards because it connects us as collectors to these athletes and to our favorite teams.
With sports canceled, the documentary series The Last Dance, which follows Michael Jordan's final season with the Chicago Bulls, was released earlier than scheduled.
All of the anticipation for that started driving up the value of Michael Jordan cards. And then it ended up having the effect of dragging up the values of other cards as well. The values went up like to the tune of 400%.
Davis says even cards that are much due to oversupply are getting a bump in value.
Most cards produced in the mid-'80s to the mid-'90s, known as the junk wax era, are worthless. For example, this 96-97 Michael Jordan card is worth $2. But with a high grading now, it could be worth between 50 to more than 100. So if you're sitting on a collection, this might be the time to dust it off. Adriana Jung, CTV News, Calgary.
All right. So anyway, I wanted to show you guys that because number one, I was in it. And number two, it's just nice to see our hobby gaining some mainstream exposure. Billy, welcome back. Don't know what happened to you there, but glad to have you back.
My friend's computer doesn't work anymore, the internet's out, so I'm using my phone right now. So if it's a little sketchy, I apologize.
Okay, Nate, just happy to have you back. So let's get back to some more. Okay, listen, man, we're at the 2 hour and 9 minute mark almost, but I'm okay with going for a few more minutes here if you have the time. Billy, how are you for time?
I'm not doing anything. So let's do it.
Okay, so let's see. I've got to see if I can find where I left off before, but here's what I'm going to do. We're going to pick up right here with Terry's question. He says, do your contracts with players state a total number of autographs over so many years or a specific number each year?
It varies. Again, I don't do the contracts. So some of them are for a certain period of time. Some of them are for longer. Some of them are exclusive, like our spokesman. It just varies.
Okay. Peter says, are players getting their autograph cards back to you faster now that they are home hanging out for 9 weeks?
Well, the problem is I'm home too, so I don't know.
Yeah.
All the questions I don't know answers to are coming up, so we're going to fly through them.
Okay, awesome. Scott says, this has been amazing. Really enjoyed listening to all the insight behind the scenes. So again, yeah, thanks to Billy for making himself available to come on Sports Cards Live for sure. That was just going kind of up. What else can we address here? Sean Robb says, would Upper Deck consider buying back past products when it becomes obvious there is too much on the secondary market? Oh, that's like a company doing a stock buyback. You shook your head pretty quick. So the answer to that is definitely a no, I'm guessing. And that's fine. Okay, let's see. Chris says, I'm not talking about blank backs. I'm talking stuff like the ghost lettering of a parallel name like the Fleer Tiffany. I think we'll just leave that one for now. You're okay. Then I lost you, Billy, and I wasn't sure if they could hear me or not. Here's a question from Bill. When designing checklists, is the form size a bigger factor than binder sheets? My OCD tingles when my Timmy subsets do not fit on their own page in my Tim Hortons binder. So basically, why don't sets work out to be in multiples of 9 so they fit into binders better?
It's like it's stuff's built on certain number of forms. So it is. I mean, I'll tell you one set that we consciously think about that is the Parkhurst, the puzzle backs. We purposely make each puzzle 9 pieces, so you can, and cards 1 through 100, so you can make the puzzles one after, like it's the cards are in the front, and you can look at the back of the puzzles. Okay.
Here's a question from Charles. Why is it the players who haven't played an NHL game ever get cards like Zach? I don't know how to say his last name. Fucali.
You got it. You have to play an NHL game or be a backup goalie to be able to get an NHL card. We can't, like, the big concern right now is if the season starts late next year, and I know people have already asked me, when is UD1 coming out? I have no idea, because we have no idea when the season next year is going to start. And they're like, yeah, but we're planning on the season to start when it's supposed to start, and when it was scheduled to start as of right now. But we can't make rookie cards for guys that haven't skated, so that could affect UD1 to where we have to make some decisions. So
is it can a player get a rookie card by being dressed for a game, or do they actually have to step onto the ice to get the card?
I believe that I don't know the exact. I think they have to step on the ice. I'm not sure. Well, no, the backup goalie does not have to get into the game. He just has to dress. So,
but a player has to get on the ice.
I can't give you 100% answer on that. I mean, usually if they're dressed, they're playing. I would assume, but I'm not positive.
Okay. Scott says, can you please do what you can do to get Patrick Waugh back in your sets like Platinum and Artifacts, where there are lots of parallels? He's I don't know if you know Scott Noble's big Patrick Waugh collector and likes to pick up all of the different parallels. Richard wants to say, was Tarasenko the worst signer ever?
He turned into one of the best. It's crazy. Like he went from not signing to he's one of our more reliable guys now. It's crazy. So kudos to him. I mean, and look what happens. You start signing your cards, you win a cup. That's what I got to say.
Yeah, fair enough. An anonymous Facebook user then says, actually, Smith Pelly was the worst signer ever, to which Chris says, good thing they stamped that problem out. Okay. we'll skip right by that for now, Billy. I don't want you to have to address anything like that. Tommy says, any chance to get more wider O-Pee-Chee team logo patches set that would increase value on O-Pee-Chee without more manufacturing costs? I don't like to tell people what their cost of doing business is, but any chance to widen that set, Billy?
When I was building O-Pee-Chee, we were doing update ones. That was actually my first job at Upper Deck. Was Grant had me find patches to use for that set, like the Konstantinov patch. I was just like, we're putting this one in here. But no, I agree. If we have an opportunity to put more patches in there, we just have to be able to find enough patches, because we've looked for a lot. I mean, I spent a lot of time just looking to finish the third series of those 100 patches.
Okay, cool. All right, so listen, we're gonna wrap up really quick here. We're gonna come back to one last question. Happens to be a Barry Grice question, which I think is a very appropriate way to end off the evening. Before we get to Barry's question, I'm just gonna remind you guys that, as is going on the ticker down there, on Wednesday, Justin is going to be joining me, and Justin has a wealth of knowledge and experience in the hobby. A big basketball guy, a big tall guy actually too, who I've seen at the National going back for about 12 years now. And he's really active on Instagram. So we're going to talk about what's going on virtually. I want to remind everybody, I'm going to put on the screen right now too, if you're not aware of it yet, the Sports Card Expo virtual edition is June 19th and 20th. Check out the website. They've started to press release and promote this event. I know I'm going to be participating as a vendor. I plan to support this initiative by Steve Menzie, who owns the Expo, in the absence of actual in-person shows. And I urge everyone to come out, check that out, and help support that initiative and continue the tradition of the Expo. Next Saturday, Steve Grad, who's been on over 100 episodes of Pawn Stars, will be right where you see Billy next Saturday. So excited to have Steve on to talk about the autograph world. He's the lead authenticator for Beckett Autograph Services as well. So that'll be pretty cool. All right. Thanks to everybody for watching tonight. Thanks for watching the next few shows. Last comment of the night from Barry Grice. He wants to know what you collect, Billy, but more importantly, how do you order your in and out? Double, single, animal style, whole grilled onion, extra spread. This is very important.
First question. I'm a huge Detroit fan, obviously. Abdicator was my man. When you win a national championship for my favorite college team, Michigan State, in the last second of the game, or last minute of the game, and then go to your favorite hockey team, that was a big thing. I'm leaning on Bertuzzi now. He's my new guy, because I don't think Abdicator's got much time left. Lindstrom's my old school guy. But I'm Detroit everything. Like I'm a PC collector now. It's kind of funny. I see you guys with all these amazing hits. I see these cards all the time now. Part of my job is to check a case of cards, and so I see these big hits. I don't want to say I'm immune to it, but it's not as much fun as when you spend your own money and getting the hits. So, but I go out and get some Detroit stuff all the time, and I have some cards here, but I don't really want to go into too much. I will show you one of my prized possessions, and I'll leave it on that. So funny little story is, back in the day during the playoffs, the Red Wings put fans of the game on their playoff tickets. And this girl named Annie was on the 2000 playoff ticket. And she has a Red Wings jersey on. And I'll try to get it so you can see it right there. Her name is Annie. Her name is Annie Bell, a.k.a. Kristen Bell, before she was on Veronica Mars or everything. And it took me about 2 years to find this ticket stub. And I got it signed by her. And she freaked the heck out, because she's just like, oh, my gosh, where did you get this? I'm like, she signed everything I had that day. And I was wearing my Detroit stuff. But that's probably one of my favorite items I own. Double. I don't like mayonnaise-based products, so I'm not a fan of animal style. I love grilled onions. I'll get them on my fries. But I forget that whole lettuce as the bun stuff too. That's stupid. But when it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you want a burger, yeah, double, and with grilled onions. That's my jam.
So where I live, there's no In-N-Out burger. So my go-to is the A&W Papa with cheese. Nothing goes down as a late night burger like a Papa with cheese. Very quickly, Billy, Chris wants to know, is Chronology 2 coming out?
Oh yeah, Chronology 2 is coming out. It's going to be active players. It's going to be even more names of guys that you haven't seen in years. It's not one of our alumni sets, but we have gone out and done a really good job, our TA group, of getting just all these even more new names to add to the list of the franchise history. We want those sets to be as big as possible. So we've gone out there and gotten some great names for it. I'm really excited about that set that's coming up. It looks really good.
All right. Okay. Thanks everybody for watching. We're going to wrap it up. Billy, thanks so much for joining me. Stay right there. I'll see you in the back room in a minute. Everyone, we'll see you again on Wednesday with Justin and next Saturday with Steve Grad from Pawn Stars. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks.